I'll be brief. I'll take about 10 minutes. And what I thought I'll do with you is Invest India, for those who don't know, and I'm sure most of them are in that category, is the one-stop shop for investments, foreign investors coming into India. So the team does everything for them, showing them the opportunity, showing them, getting them a partner, location, approvals, et cetera, et cetera. So what I thought I'll do today is, and you know, we Indians are well known to be as self-critical as we can. In fact, I've been reading some articles in the press recently about FDI and where it's going up or down. So what I thought I'll do is share with you India as perceived by the foreign investor today. And what I'll bring to you is some numbers and statistics as to what they've been telling us. So it's not just my views, it's what they have been saying. But before that, so 60 days ago, there was a very interesting deal which happened. And we all know what Walmart, the world's largest brick and mortar company, taking over an e-commerce company in India. The deal was valued at $21 billion. It's the largest e-commerce deal ever in the history of the world. But what was more interesting, that just 40 months ago, the same company was valued only $1 billion. So what is it in 40, 45 months that a country gets a valuation from $1 billion to $21 billion? And what is it which has made that happen? And that is where, let me just share a few set of statistics with you. Let me start from here. And these are all statistics which are out there. Let me start from the bottom left corner. And what am I trying to share with you here is this probably the most unprecedented transformation ever in human history. You know, actually, if you see the presentation, it's called New India. We ran a competition to see what should be the title of this presentation. Jeff Bezos of Amazon said it should be India Unlimited. We had the New India, we had the Transforming India. And we had chosen Transforming India. And the reason why I said that is, and why I said it is the most unprecedented transformation, it is unprecedented both in terms of scale and the speed at which is happening. And what I wanted to bring about in the first slide is the economic, social, and the political factors where India stands today, and that is transforming this country. Let me start with the bottom left corner. You have a number of 222. And what I'm trying to show you here is India in numbers and pure statistics, so I don't have a play in that. So just think about it. From 2000 to 2017, 17 years, we had about $500 billion worth of FDI. Close to 50% of that has come only in the past 48 months. Let me tell you another thing. Close to 50% of that is greenfield investment. Today, you are the #1 greenfield investment destination in the world. A foreign investor today is willing to take a long-term call on you. And you know what's more interesting of that 222? Over 90% of that came in an open sourcing route, did not require government approvals. Today, India is the most open economy on the planet, with private capital having a say and an opportunity in each and every segment of that economy. So why is that happening? Let me move it up to the square just above that. There's a number 2.6 T. That's the size of your GDP today, $2.6 trillion. And remember, I spoke to you about the pace at which we are changing? So again, 47 is when we got independence. The first trillion, ladies and gentlemen, took us 60 years. So it was in April 2007, we became the first $1 trillion. The second trillion took us just 7 years. It was January 2013-14, whenever it adds up, we got our second trillion. The interesting fact is, we will be doing our next trillion in 5.5 years. In the next 7 years, we will be adding $2.5 trillion worth of value to the balance sheets of anybody who is investing in India. By 2030, you will have an economy close to the size of $8 to $9 trillion in nominal terms. So even today, by October, we will overtake UK and we will be in the top 6 economies of the world in nominal terms. In PPP terms, the purchasing power parity terms, we are already the 3rd largest economy. You have a multiplication number of 3.5 to that 2.6. And where is that 2.6 trillion and where is that growth coming in from? And there's a number of 7.7. And why am I rushing myself through it? Is because I just have 9 minutes left and there's a minister coming in. And most importantly, we have 4 stars whom I want to introduce to you today after this. But 7.7 trillion, 7.7% makes us the fastest growing, largest GDP on the planet today. And frankly, that story has just begun, and let me tell you why I say that. We are 29 states. Break that into a group of 3, 9 states, let's say. This aircraft today is being powered by only 1 engine. And why I mean that is that I have only 9 states which are growing at 7.7% plus. The second engine is at anywhere between that 6 to 7.7, and that is going to start firing in the next 24 months. The third engine, ladies and gentlemen, is going to start firing in the next 36 months. Where this story is concerned, it has only just begun. It is that bottom end of that hockey stick. And you know what's furthermore interesting? That $2.6 trillion figure, 2/3 of that is domestic demand. Demand created by you and me. That means we are insulated to the fluctuations and the vagaries of the global economy to a large extent. Do you understand why that foreign investor looks at you seriously today? And let me take you to the next orange segment, which is where I want to just show with you the social change. And why I'm bringing to you these 3 factors, because it's said that in over 160-year cycle of any country or civilization, the social, economic, and political factors as a transformation, the convergence of all 3 at the same time, happens only once in that 160 to 200-year cycle. And frankly, that is what is happening in India today. Let me take you to the next one. There's a 1.5B. By 2023, you will be a head count or human capital of 1.5 billion. You'll be the largest human capital on the planet. More interesting, 1 billion of those will be under the age of 35. With 850 million people in your workforce, you will be the workhorse of the entire planet. And let me take it below that. Your average age will be 29. You will be the youngest country on the planet, all the way up to 2070. Just think of the power which you are sitting on today. And if I just slide a little below that, there's a number of 4 trillion. That is your consumer market spend power in India, which will be by 2019, 2020. And where is that coming from? As a study from BCG and others, an Indian born in 2000 would spend $245,000 in his or her lifetime. Multiply that by 1.5 billion. See the numbers and the zeros in that. See the power of that consumer market. And you know the last one, we often take it for granted, which is the biggest celebration of the free world. And frankly, things which we take for granted are something which are the most valuable to a foreign investor coming into your country. This is the biggest ever celebration of freedom in the free world. And I'm just looking at the last elections in 2014, 834 million registered voters, of which 530 million actually cast their franchise. 900,000 polling booths, 5,700 candidates, over 1,600 registered political parties, of which about 464 actually participated in the election process. And you had to re-poll in less than 0.1% of your polling booth. You executed the most complex exercise in the free world to a sigma 6x. And you know what is the biggest change which has come into this? And think about it yourself. Today, good economics is the center of good politics. And where is that change coming in from? You remember that 1 billion people under the age of 35? That's where I want to take you to the last point on this one. Last election, we had 117 million first-time voters. Next election next year, we'll have 133 million first-time voters. And what's interesting of that? 97 of those, million of those, will be from a village in India. And 67 million of that 133 will be women. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what is propelling and what is transforming and creating this powerhouse. We may try and snub it away. We may try and look at it from every other side and try and peel it and show it's not working in our cynicism. The fact is, that is where the overhang is. That is where the power is. Let me take you to the next one, and very quickly. These are the 6 foundations. Let me, before I come to the 3 yellows, and there's a reason why all 3 are in yellow, but before that, my favorite one on this one is Digital India. We're about 432, 440. We are the 2nd largest country on the net today. We are the largest, not yet on the net. Every second, 3 new people are accessing the net in India. And 2 of those 3 are coming from a village in India. Why I'm bringing that out? That the net is the biggest equalizer of opportunity ever in our history. A person sitting in a village in Northeast will have the access to the same level of opportunity as you and I coming out from a metro. In fact, when I go back to the startup slide, which is at the end, what you would realize is that the power engine of India has moved from the 4 metros and the 3 other cities to the smaller towns and villages of India. That is what is driving it. But let me take you very quickly to the 3 yellows, and why I call them all in the same shade. That is what is your India stack. I showed you what the opportunity in India is from a company's perspective. Now I'm showing you on this one, from a company's perspective, how easy it is to access that opportunity. You have over 1 billion people with a unique ID. You have over 1 billion people connected to a bank account. And you have over 1 billion people with a mobile number. You know what this has resulted in? There is a Chinese mobile making company which got 30 million new customers in 36 months. There is a new telecom company in India which got 100 million new customers in 180 days at an acquisition cost per customer which is 1/6 of the global average. It's not just the opportunity. Today, you've created a foundation where it's now easy even to access that opportunity. And you know what's interesting? That access is to the smallest corner of your country today. It's not just limited to the fancy larger cities. That is what is changing India. And let me take you to the next one very quickly. This is the money we require. Each of them are the sectors and the amounts, which is what we require, which is $4.8 trillion by 2025, actually 2022. So this is the opportunity space for the private sector to come and put their check in. Remember I told you we will add $2.5 trillion worth? That will go to the balance sheets of all those private companies. The one which takes in the biggest share is the one which takes in the biggest profits. And this is a very interesting slide. Actually, this just came up to us 3 days ago. And this is from OECD. Look at the way the middle class consumption pattern is flowing. By 2030 is when that big divide of India as the middle class starts growing, as compared to every other segment in the market. I have to wind up fast. All what I'm trying to tell you on this one, that by 2050, your middle class will be as much as the entire demand of the G7 countries put together. And very quickly, this is what we require in the next 5 years. Sorry. I need 110 million new houses. I need 400 new airports which will be developed, 600 new railway platforms, and by the way, let me tell you, the biggest ever migration in human history is happening in India. Every minute, 30 people are moving from a village to a city in India. In the next 5 years, I will have 350 million new people in my urban centers. You would have created a new United States of America. And you know, this is interesting. We often keep thinking that we are nowhere on the competitive edge. It's a little difficult slide to show. This has just come from Bloomberg. This is the study of last year. They rate us to China, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines on all these different parameters. And you know what's interesting? Where we lack out a little on infrastructure and the current quality of living, both which we are working on. So all that cynicism and that self-criticism we put ourselves through, this is what a third party globally, which is fairly well acknowledged for its objectivity, is telling you you're about. I'm moving fast. But this is where the magic of India is. This is a study from 2012 to 2017 of multinational companies with branches in India and their business in India. And all what we've done is picked up the local companies which are listed so that the data is all public and it's publicly hygienic. When the global parents' revenues was going down by 6.9%, their India subsidiary revenues were going up by 12.6%. Let me tell you one more interesting one. When the global net profits were going down by 4.4%, their Indian subsidiaries' net profits were going up by 30.6%. This, guys, is huge. The average IRR of India-based funds, of Asia-based funds, was 11.9%, of India-based funds was 14.4%. And you know what's more interesting? Let me give you an example. We had a joint venture with Maruti Suzuki. Suzuki's global market capitalization listed out of the Nikkei is $21 billion. You know what is the market capitalization of Maruti Suzuki in India? $34 billion. Standard Life the same way. The market capitalization of Standard Life in the UK is 15 billion. Their joint venture in India is 16 billion. This is the power and this is the magic of your power. You remember the Chhatrapati Shivaji Stadium, right? The reason why I thought I'll bring up these pictures to you is we've forgotten where we've come up from. See where it is today. You remember when you went to Meerut just about 7 years ago? Does that look familiar? There's an old Qualis hanging around there also. And look at it today. This is the new India. And you know what I must tell you, and the reason why I bring this last slide, I was brought into this job just 40 months ago. And this is a personal one which I must state. You know, you can have all kinds of policies and opportunities. They help in making India. But what makes a country is the passion of its people. And that's where I see the big change. I have 114 people in my team today. Average age is 30. Each one is IIT, IIM, and Ivy League. Each one of them has come from top-end consulting or investment banking. But everyone in that office has taken a 7 to 95% pay cut to join. Their stories, they've come from the smaller towns and cities. They can't afford even their PG accommodation in Delhi. Some girls have left behind their families and staying as PGs here. It is just the passion to build India. This is what will create your new India. Thank you.